In 1981, Michelle Pfeiffer married the man who saved her life. She was 22, he was a rising actor, and everyone who knew her said the same thing. Peter Horton pulled her out of that cult. She would be dead without him. And for 7 years, she believed that too. She owed him everything. Her career, her sanity, her life. But at 29 years old, she said something that changed how I see every rescue story. Gratitude is a cage too. And when you understand what she meant by that, what living in someone's debt actually does to a woman, you will never look at he saved her the same way again. Before Peter Horton was her husband, he was the man who pulled her out of a cult. Yes, a cult. In the late 1970s, before anyone knew her name, Michelle Pfeiffer fell into a group that called themselves breatharians. They believed humans could live on light and air alone, no food, just sunlight and positive energy. They controlled what she ate, how she thought, how she saw herself. And she was 20 years old, alone in Los Angeles, trying to make it as an actress. She had no framework to recognize what was happening to her. Peter Horton was the one who saw it. They met in an acting class taught by Milton Katselas, and Peter, who was older, more grounded, more aware, started asking her questions. Gentle questions, the kind that made her realize the people she trusted were not who she thought they were. He helped her see she was being controlled, and eventually, he helped her leave. She has said it herself in interviews years later. She clicked. That was the word she used. She just clicked. Like waking up from a dream she had not known she was having. And Peter Horton was the reason. So when he asked her to marry him in 1981, what was she supposed to say? No. She was 22 years old. She had just escaped something that could have destroyed her. And here was this kind, steady man who had pulled her out of the darkness. Of course she said yes. Of course she married him, because she felt safe. And after the cult, safety felt like love. But there is a difference, and it would take her 7 years to learn it. Here is the part most people do not talk about. And I think it is the part that explains everything. Michelle married Peter because she was grateful. She married him because he had saved her. But she did not marry him because she loved him the way a woman needs to love the man she spends her life with. She loved him the way you love a teacher, or a mentor, or the person who catches you when you are falling. And that kind of love, as real as it is, cannot hold a marriage. Because the person Michelle was at 22, the frightened girl who needed saving, that person was not going to exist forever. She was going to grow. She was going to become someone new. And the marriage she built on gratitude was not going to survive that transformation. I think if you have ever stayed in something because you felt you owed it to someone, because leaving would mean admitting you made a mistake or hurt someone who did not deserve it, you understand exactly what she must have felt. Not betrayal, something quieter, something harder to name. The slow, aching realization that you are living a life that does not fit you anymore. And the only person who can fix it is you. Between 1981 and 1988, Michelle Pfeiffer became a star. Scarface came in 1983. She played Elvira Hancock opposite Al Pacino. Brian De Palma directed. It was a brutal shoot, but it put her on the map. Then Lady Hawk in 1985. Then The Witches of Eastwick in 1987. Then in 1988, Dangerous Liaisons. That one got her an Academy Award nomination. By the time she was 30, she was on magazine covers. She was being called one of the most beautiful women in the world. She was working with the best directors, the best actors, the best scripts. And Peter Horton was still the man she had married when she was 22. He was a good man. He was doing well himself. He was acting, directing, producing. 30-something, the television show he co-created was a hit. He was successful. He was kind. He was everything a husband should be on paper. But the problem was not him. The problem was her. She was not the same person anymore. The phone calls got shorter. The cities were not the same. She was in hotel rooms in Paris, on sound stages in Los Angeles, in a world that was expanding faster than she could keep up with. And he was in a different world. Not a worse world, just a different one. The space between them was widening, and no one was to blame. She has said it herself, years later, in interviews. She was becoming someone, and the woman she was becoming was not the girl he had married. And here is the thing I want you to sit with for a moment, because I think it is the heart of this story. She could have stayed. A lot of women would have. A lot of women did. He had saved her. He had been good to her. He had never hurt her. Leaving him would look selfish. Leaving him would look like she was ungrateful. Leaving him would mean admitting that the marriage, the thing she had built in the wake of the cult, was not strong enough to last, but staying would have meant betraying herself, and at some point, she decided that was worse. The affair rumors started around the time of Dangerous Liaisons. John Malkovich, her co-star. The tabloids said there was something between them. They said that was why she left Peter. They said she had found someone else. None of it was true, or at least, none of it was ever confirmed, and Michelle has never spoken about it directly. But the rumors did one thing. They gave people a story they could understand. Woman leaves husband for another man. That makes sense. That fits the script. That is a reason people can accept. But the real reason was not another man. The real reason was that she had outgrown the marriage. And that is a much harder thing to say, because it means no one is the villain. It means the marriage just was not right, and people do not always know what to do with that. She left Peter in 1988. They separated quietly. No public drama, no tabloid war. And here is the detail that I think tells you everything you need to know about who Peter Horton is, and who Michelle Pfeiffer was trying to be. He helped her pack her car when she moved out. He did not fight her. He did not make it ugly. He did not punish her for choosing herself. He helped her pack, and they stayed friends. The divorce was finalized in 1990, and for the next 38 years, Michelle did not talk about it. Not in detail, not in a way that explained what really happened. She moved on. She married David E. Kelley in 1993. They've been together for over 30 years. They have 2 children. She built a life that was hers, a life that was not built on gratitude, a life that was built on love. But the question lingered. Why did she leave Peter Horton? What happened? And at 68 years old, she finally answered it. She was asked about it in an interview. Not a gotcha question, not tabloid bait, just a simple, honest question. What happened with Peter? And she said something that I think is one of the most honest things I have ever heard a woman in her position say. She said she married him for the wrong reasons. She said she was young and she was grateful, and she did not know who she was yet. She said she forgot she was even married before, not because the marriage did not matter, but because the person she was then, the girl who needed saving, that person does not exist anymore. And the marriage belonged to her. She was not the same person at 30 as she was at 22. And she could not spend the rest of her life pretending she was. I think if you have ever made a choice that felt impossible at the time, if you have ever had to choose between being kind to someone else and being honest with yourself, you know how much courage that takes. Because the world does not always reward women who choose themselves. The world calls them selfish. The world calls them cold. The world asks why they could not just be grateful for what they had. But Michelle Pfeiffer was not being selfish. She was being honest. And there is a difference. I want to tell you about the life she built after. She met David E. Kelley, the television writer and producer, in 1992. They were set up on a blind date, and she has said in interviews that she knew almost immediately that this was different. This was not gratitude. This was not rescue. This was love. The kind of love that sees you for who you are, not who you used to be. They married in 1993. They have been together for 33 years. They have 2 children, Claudia and John, both adopted. She has built a family. She has built a career that has lasted decades. She has built a life that belongs entirely to her. And none of that would have been possible if she had stayed in a marriage that was built on the wrong foundation. Peter Horton remarried too. He is still working. He is still successful. And by all accounts, he and Michelle are still on good terms. Because this was never about him being a bad man. It was about her becoming a different woman. And I think there is something important in that. Something that other women, especially women who have stayed too long in something that did not fit, need to hear. You are allowed to outgrow something, even if it was good, even if it saved you, even if leaving feels like the hardest thing you have ever done. You are allowed to choose yourself. Michelle Pfeiffer did. And at 68, she is saying it out loud, not with bitterness, not with regret, just with the quiet, hard-won clarity of someone who knows she made the right choice. There is another story we covered a while back that I think you would find worth watching. Deborah Lee Furness. She stood by Hugh Jackman for 27 years. She was the one who believed in him before the world did. And then, at 67, he left. Not because she was not enough, but because he had changed. Or maybe because he finally admitted who he had always been. The difference between Deborah Lee and Michelle is this. Deborah Lee did not leave. He did. And the world saw her as the one who was left behind. Michelle left. She chose herself, and the world saw her as the one who walked away. But both women had to reckon with the same truth, that you can love someone and still not be meant to spend your life with them. That marriages can end without villains. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you were wrong, and then choose yourself anyway. If Deborah Lee's story stayed with you, I think Michelle's will too. I will have it linked at the end. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you were wrong, and then choose yourself anyway. Michelle Pfeiffer, at 68, finally has a life that belongs entirely to her. I genuinely think, she earned it.